Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel and to some more turkey patterning. And today, we've got a combo that I am really excited to see what it can do, because if it works well together, then we should see a pretty ridiculous looking pattern today. We've seen really good performance out of this choke for sure, and the last time we tested these shells, they were really surprising. So I hope these two can actually work together and give us something pretty good looking, that's for sure. But for the shell we've got here today, it's one that Jack sent us, so big thank you to him for sending some of these over. But they are some of the Kent TK7 Penetrator shells. They are a 12 gauge, 3-inch, 1 5/8 ounce load of number 7 shot, going about 1100 feet per second. And these are not the full-on TSS density stuff. They are the little bit lighter, like heavy shot weight, being at 15 grams per cc here, but still denser than lead, so they are going to hit pretty hard. And last time we tested these, they gave us a fantastic looking pattern, so I'm hoping they like the choke we've got here today, because if it does, we should see a really tight looking pattern. And as for the setup we've got here today, I brought out the Remington 1187 here with this choke. This is my Kicks Gobblin Thunder 655 constriction turkey choke, and for being 655, it pretty much shoots the majority of every shell I've ever put through it very well. It's definitely been a very reliable choke for me through this setup. So will these Kent number 7 shells actually like the 655? They are a little bit larger of a pellet compared to like your number 9 TSS type of stuff, but they're nowhere near like a number 4 or 5 in lead for size either, so there's a good chance that they'll still work with this 655 and not be over constricted. And I think that's what it's going to come down to, is whether or not they work through this constriction or not. But if they do, we should see a really good looking pattern, that's for sure. But as for the test today, everything is going to be the same as usual. I have the turkey target set up at 40 yards. I also have our chronograph so we can get our speed and see how close it is to their box claim. So let's get you guys set up with a view of the target. We'll take our shot, look at that chrono, and then go down and see how they actually performed. I definitely have some pretty high hopes going into this, because at least on paper, it should do pretty well together as long as everything works. But there's only one way to find out, and that's to shoot it. So let's head over here and see what kind of pattern results we can actually get through this combo. Okay, so that shell gave us 1083 through our chronograph. The box claims 1100, so yeah, we're pretty well right where we should be, I'd say. Right in and around the 1100 mark is pretty much right where I'd want to be for these shells anyway, so I think we're looking pretty good up here as far as our velocity goes. But how did it actually pattern down there at 40 yards? Let's go take a look and see. Alright, now we're down here at our 40-yard paper, and this is what we got. And yeah, I'd say that it worked out pretty well for us. Now, we do have a dead bird here, clearly. I mean, there's 3 through the brain and several more down the spine there. But we were clearly off to the left, unfortunately, and I don't think that was me or the setup. I think that's because of the crosswind that we have all of a sudden. Shortly after I started filming this, we randomly had the sun come out, and now the wind is ripping at like 25 miles an hour. I don't really know where that gust front came from all of a sudden, but I tried to wait the best I could between wind gusts, and this is what we got, I guess. But clearly we can still see that it was absolutely devastating. And if that was centered up, you would have 95+% of the actual shot on that turkey paper, that's for sure, which is pretty much what we saw the last time we shot these shells as well. And still, we really don't see a ton of flyers. Just a couple of them off this top edge and right edge over here maybe, but that core area there is really good looking. And it's pretty uniform and consistent across our core area. There is one void over on the left edge right there that I would prefer to have a couple pellets fill in, but it's far enough to the edge where I'm not super concerned that it would cause any problems. Clearly, looking at the rest of the pattern, I don't think that one little spot is much to worry about. But that would absolutely hammer a turkey at 40 yards all day long. That could absolutely work as a field setup, that's for sure. And it still doesn't look like the pattern wants to be blown out or anything, like the choke is too tight. So I'm definitely curious to see, as we test it through some other chokes, what happens. And I'm thinking, I have a couple chokes tighter than 655. Maybe we should try it through that and just see how ridiculously tight of a pattern we can get, I guess. Because it looks like they do just fine so far through the tighter chokes. I don't know that I'd want it any tighter than that for hunting purposes, but if you're the guy that wants the tightest pattern he can possibly get, these shells seem to be pretty consistent at doing that. So definitely, I'm calling this a win, and might even be a little bit too tight for a lot of people as well. I mean, trying to shoot a bird with that at 20 yards, you're going to have to be right on him, because that is not going to give you a ton of leeway. So it's definitely looking pretty good here for a pattern, I'd say. Okay, and here's the wad from those shells, and as you can see, they definitely look a little bit different than a lot of your other typical turkey wads. Definitely a full length and maybe even a little bit longer, like an 1/8 inch longer than some of the other wads we see out of typical 3-inch shells. And they have these ribs on the outside here, so definitely a little bit different style. Now as for how it opened up, it's not perfectly even, and it is a little bit kind of beat up looking, but it doesn't look like it caught on anything or snagged, and it's pretty common for wads to look a little bit rough going through those ported Kicks chokes for whatever reason. So I'd say it looks pretty much run-of-the-mill, all things considered, being fired through this setup today. And definitely, I don't think it shows any signs of being over-constricted just yet either. It still looks pretty good. So I definitely think it did what it was supposed to do for us today. Alright y'all, well, what did you think about that pattern right there? Absolutely would crush a turkey out at 40 yards, and I'd say that's a pretty much textbook field setup. If you're going to have those 40, 45, 50 yard shots, that would absolutely do it for you. These shells seem to do really well and give you those tight patterns, so if that's what you're looking for, then these seem to be a decent option so far, that's for sure, because you can't argue with that kind of a pattern. But as always, let me know your thoughts about it. Is that about what you expected to see? Were you a little bit surprised one way or the other? If you've tested any of these Kent 12 gauge shells, what has been your results with them? And if there's another setup or choke combo that you want to see these Kent shells shot through, then let me know that as well. So leave all your thoughts about it in the comments. But at the end of the day here, absolutely a turkey killing pattern at 40 yards. So we're looking pretty good. But with that being said, I've got some more stuff to film, so I'm going to get back to it. As always, we have the channel Instagram as well as the mailbox where you can send stuff if you'd like. All that information will be in the description if you're interested, but I'm going to get back to it. So I'll see y'all in the next one.